Hello and welcome to the show. From Weeping to Warrior, Igniting Freedom with Roshawn Nicole. All things mental health, awareness, and wellness, where we interview amazing people from all over the world, sharing their incredible story of how they overcame trials and obstacles and what they are currently doing to maintain not only their physical health, but their mental health. If you know my story, back in 2021, I was in treatment for 2 months due to PTSD, depression, anxiety, and addiction. And during that time when I was in treatment, it was such the best decision that I made, but also the hardest decision as well. I knew I needed to get help. And so during that time, during treatment, I wrote my music at the time. And after I left treatment, I was sharing my music, also sharing my story to schools and organizations and churches and letting them know that there is hope and that there is freedom. And so I wanted to have this podcast to bring on people from around the world to have this space for them to help shed light and break this stigma of mental illness. So if you would love to be a guest on my show, I would love to have you. Please hit up your girl at info@RoshawnNicoleWellness.com. Let me know you would like to be on, and we would love to have you on. So before we get started, we have a guest all the way from Texas. But before we read her bio and introduce her, we're going to do a little disclaimer. On this episode and all episodes, I am not professional or medical professional. However, I will be a certified health coach pretty soon. But anything that I share is basically due to my experience of what I'm learning and also how I overcame depression and anxiety. As well, I want to talk about a trigger warning that we talk about some deep, heavy stuff on here. We're talking about mental health, and some stories and topics could be triggering to you. So I just wanted to let you know that as well. Now, we're going to talk about a Did You Know mental health stats here. So I want you to listen to these stats. Very, very amazing stats. So according to NAMI.org, and that is the National Alliance on Mental Illness.org. Did you know that 1 in 5 U.S. adults experience mental illness? That's probably more than what you might have thought, but 1 in 5. 1 in 20 U.S. adults experience serious mental illness. This one, I want you to listen to this one closely. 17% of youth, the ages of 6 to 17 years old, experience a mental health disorder. That's crazy. 17%. So, community, let's talk more about this. I need your help. We need to have more conversations. We need to raise awareness. We need to bring light to these topics. So if you or someone you know needs support, you can call or text. It's a 24/7 hotline. It's 988. If you or someone you know needs support, text or call 988. So, all right. So Charlotte Williams is a worshiper of Christ. She started singing in church at the age of 5 years old, watching her mother struggle through an abusive marriage and overcame mental neglect and physical abuse by her father. God gifted her songwriting. She went on to write many songs. She is also a multi-award winning songwriter, including her single, Heaven. Let's welcome this warrior queen all the way from Texas to the show. Welcome, Charlotte Williams.
Oh, thank you for having me, Roshawn. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes, I'm so glad you're here. Thank you so much for taking the time out to share your amazing story, your gifts, your music, all the lovely things that you're doing. And so before we start on that, please introduce yourself. Tell the audience who you are, where you're from, where you reside. Yes, we'd love to hear.
Well, my name is Charlotte Williams, and I was born in New Orleans, Louisiana, raised in Natchez, Mississippi, and Faraday, Louisiana, until the age of 10 years old when my mom left my father. And through that separation, she came back to Houston. She's originally from Slidell, Louisiana, Creole descent, and so this is one of the places that my father brought her that she loved, and so I've been here ever since at 10 years old.
Wow.
I
Wow.
serve in the church. I'm a praise and
Yeah.
worship leader. I'm a
Okay.
songwriter, singer. I'm a
Yeah.
mom of one. She's 22 now.
Okay. So
And
you busy, busy,
yes,
huh?
I'm publishing a new book now too. So I mean, and I'm a talk show host. I do a lot of things.
Wow. Yes. Well, that's awesome, Charlotte. So, I mean, so I'm hearing you have your hat in many things. So you're staying busy, which is awesome. So you have many gifts and many talents. And so, I would love for you to share with the audience a time in your life when you faced, a major obstacle, and tell your weeping to warrior story. What is your weeping to warrior story?
All I can tell you is it was not easy. I come from a home, and I certainly don't want to present any one of my family members in a bad light because I love each and every one of them. Especially, I was very close to my father, but my father had mental illness that was not diagnosed back then. A lot of the men who, especially black men, were carrying around hurt, pain, anger, or either traits that they learned they conditioned themselves to be a certain way due to their environment. And so they didn't know anything else, how to express disappointment, fears, resentment, anger. They were constantly, in those days, my father was born in 1943. And so constantly being suppressed and depressed at that time, it was a lot of pressure, especially when you're trying to come up out of a rut, and it can cause you to do things that you're not proud of. And so my father was abusive towards my mother, which caused him to be abusive towards us as well. So my brother and I fought through that whole thing of watching my mother be abused. Also, it made me want to protect her. So the roles reversed from her protecting me to me wanting to protect her. And so those kind of things right there, I grew up feeling like I didn't have the same moms that the other moms have in terms of, I felt like she was not supportive and she didn't really know me. So I did not appreciate her because she was working with what she had to work with during extreme circumstances. And I didn't appreciate her back then. I did not appreciate her until our older years. I think I was in my 40s when I started appreciating my mother. Because the way that she was treated with the physical and mental abuse, it caused her to disassociate. And it left me feeling neglected. And it also left me feeling like I didn't have self-worth. I disassociated for years because of it. I felt not loved in so many areas. I felt like a victim because it was my father that did it to her. I felt like her sisters and brothers, because my mom had 7 sisters and brothers. I felt like they partially blamed me. And let's just make this clear. Some of it was not a reality. It was just things that were in my mind based on how the situation and the trick of the enemy made me feel. Because my father was not in control of his anger. He needed anger management.
Wow.
And then my mother resented me as well because she felt like I should take her side. And I'm talking to somebody right now because a lot of times the father makes the wife jealous because he sometimes makes the wife feel like he loves his children more than her. And she doesn't feel valued. And then sometimes that causes the mother to resent the child that he cherishes so much. And so then this causes a rift. in the family that causes curses, unforgiveness. The biggest thing that they talk about in the Bible, I've gone through. I'm not going to say I've been through everything that someone has gone through, and choices were different than the next person, but it was not easy to find myself. Thank God that God was keeping me.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely, Charlotte. Yes. Wow. What an incredible story. And thank you for sharing that. I know it's not easy to share, the things that we have, been through and overcome. And so I want to ask you this because I know during the midst of times where we are struggling, we tend to go and cope either in healthy ways or in unhealthy ways, right? So if we're going through, like in my case, I turned to alcohol. And so what did you do to cope during this time of growing up? What was your way of just escaping?
My personal choice was food. I chose food as comfort. I overate like crazy.
Yeah. Wow.
And I think that I developed relationships that were toxic, and I didn't realize were not healthy for me because I didn't have that guidance. I had to learn things through the school of hard knocks. But thank God that God kept me because I was in situations that could have been so terrible and dangerous. I am proud that I never had to compromise my body, but I did turn to selling drugs. I did. I tried drugs for a short period of my life, but I was always convicted because God always had His hand on my life.
Yeah.
So I turned to the church, and that wasn't happening, and they got around me in a circle and prayed that thing off of me, and it was off.
Yes.
It didn't last long at all, but I was angry. I cussed people out. I fought. I abused my partners because I had been abused. I didn't know how to talk to anyone or nourish them because what I thought was love, it wasn't.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to love.
Right.
I didn't know what love was. I had not seen the perfect love.
Join us for From Weeping to Warrior, Igniting Freedom with Roshawn Nicole, a podcast where we're discussing all things mental health and wellness. Airing Fridays, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Oklahoma Victorious Worship Radio, and on Mondays at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on PGN TV. For full details on air dates, networks, and how to be a guest on the show, email us at info@RoshawnNicoleWellness.com or visit RoshawnNicole.com.
Right.
That was one of my first songs. You Are a Perfect Love.
Okay, well we gonna talk about that because that's what I was gonna ask you next. So now you told us about the weeping times of you going through, seeing your mom, being abused, and you're being a victim of abuse and drugs, and so let's talk about the time of you went from weeping. Now let's talk about to warrior.
I started songwriting at 8.
Okay. Yeah.
But God gave me writing at as early as 6.
Oh, wow.
But I didn't have the structure down perfectly, but I had the melody and the words. So, and I had the voice. So, I knew it because sometimes He'll give us little signs to show us. You could be like this person or that person, or how some voices appeal to you more than other voices.
Right.
And so these things, it caused me to be an introvert because I always felt like I had to protect me and those around me. My brother was affected by this whole thing, who was the only one raised in the home with me. I don't want to put his struggles out there, but he took some of his struggles out on me as well. And so it also caused me to feel ashamed. I didn't feel like that guarded by him. And that's because my dad tore his self-esteem down by abusing him as well.
Wow.
And so I don't hate any of these people. I love my brother dearly, till this day. And before my mother passed away, I bonded with her. I was able, God graced me to tell her exactly how much she hurt me. And I was able to tell my dad before he passed away that how his actions affected me and my brother. And, love covers a multitude of sins, like the word says. Things that people wouldn't normally hear from you when they love you and they really hear your heart, then they will listen and they'll change.
Yes, absolutely. So would you say that songwriting at the age of 6 and 7 and 8 years old, was that your way of coping with life? Your way of just expressing yourself or what you were going through? Was that your way of just, of escaping, would you say?
I fantasized. I dreamed. I imagined myself being like Donna Ross and the Supremes.
Okay,
I wanted to be Denise Williams. I watched Mahogany, those are my days. Mahogany, Lady Sings the Blues. I sung all of those. Your mama may have, Papa may have. God bless the child that's got his own. And I would just sit there and listen to Billie Holiday and all of them. And that's what groomed me. And I actually bonded with God at that time. And I learned my own voice. And I was not anywhere near, I was crumbled. I was broken. I was devastated. And so, because when we came to Houston, I left out. My mother had 2 black eyes, a broken nose, and her ribs were broken.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
And I remember because I kicked her in the nose by accident while we stayed at the Salvation Army.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Wow. Well, Charlotte, I mean, wow, this is, I'm sure you are going to help someone, that's going through a similar story than what you've gone through. So tell us about your song. Tell us about your music and what inspired you to write, because you shared 2 of your singles, which is called Heaven, right? Heaven and also Broken. So tell us a little bit about, what inspired you to write those songs.
Well, now you're going way, way down the line. Because that was my childhood. I strayed away from Christ in my 20s. I started doing all kind of stuff just to survive, writing hot chicks, bank fraud. I've done it all. I was I was close to the Lord, but I wasn't following his ways. And so thank God for his mercy and his grace. After I had my daughter, I was 32 years old. I met her father here in Houston. He married me and took me to Germany, overseas. That's where he's residing still to this day. And I felt like by me going overseas, I grew up because I saw the rest of the world and how it viewed America. And so I performed, but I was singing secular music back then. But when I had my daughter, and when I looked at all of the beautiful things that God had, when I look at her and how he blessed me with someone to truly love me, I not only that I'm a professional cosmetologist. I was doing hair at the time. And when he was presenting himself to me, and I realized that Bible wasn't just words, that they were actually coming to life in my life, and that his presence became real to me. That's when that was my dedication. It's a conversation between me and God. So I'm saying that he's the light of the world, the King of all kings. And so he's, I'm telling him, no matter what comes my way, I'm going to stay with you on this side of heaven.
Yes.
And this song was actually inspired by B.B. Winans, In the Meantime. I love that song.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so it was inspired by B.B. Winans. Awesome. Well, it's a beautiful, beautiful song. Beautiful song. So those who are, watching or listening, check out Charlotte Williams, Heaven. And then I want you to also talk about your song, Broken. And then you shared the producer as well. So talk about that song. And
I met Mr. Roland Powell at a ETGMP meeting conference that we had in Houston. And he wanted to elevate my career. And he said that I needed a video that was actually lining up with what I said. Like, I needed more visuals. So he, graciously made a trip to Houston and worked with me closely on a song called Broken. And I had told him that God was giving me songs at that time just flowing like, water through my body. And he gave me the gift. I knew that he was taking me into more of a prophetic at the time. And so I sang a little bit of it to him because we didn't know what we were going to do. And he loved it. And so he said, I don't want you to try to make it sound like anything on the radio. I don't want you to worry about anything else but giving it to us the way God gave it to you. And so I asked my beautiful friend Danielle to come in and sing backgrounds. And that's what you hear in the background. It is so powerful and prophetic. And it's God telling us that the humble and the meek are his, and reminding us that when we're at our lowest, that's when he's the greatest. And it's just like, wow, he's reminding us that he has not forgotten us, and that he has us in the palm of his hands. That's what Broken is about.
Yes, beautiful.
Roland Powell played his little tail off in that song. Oh my God, he played that music.
Very beautiful. Yes, Broken. And I'm sure that this resonates with those who are listening on today. So Charlotte, share with the audience now, like, what do you do now to stay mentally and physically healthy? What helps you to stay grounded?
Well, I can tell you that I stay in the presence of God a lot.
Okay.
And he showed me who I really was, and that opened my eyes. It was like when he presented himself and I had that encounter with God, the blinders came off. And it was just a spiritual quickening, like the word says, in my spirit. And it was like a realization that I was dead. If you don't have Christ, you really are not alive. You don't even know what's going on in the spiritual. And so as I kept worshiping and I kept worshiping and I kept worshiping and seeking his face, that's what Broken is about. He says, seek my face and I'll be there. And it's a reminder that he really does exactly what he says that he would do. All we need to do is humble ourselves and have that humility as what Christ would expect for us to live like. Because we need to realize that, through our walk and being humble and being able to receive what he deposits in our spirit, that is how we are able to love someone back to him. So that's why it's not good. The Bible says, get angry, but don't sin. And so it's okay to be angry. People think that it's okay. It's not okay to be angry. It is okay to get angry. However, we have the fruits of the Spirit that teach us that we need to contain that anger and learn how to control our anger when we're angry with someone. Because in all things, we want to make sure that we remember Christ and that he is pleased in our walk. And the things that we say and the things that places we go, the things that we do, it matters, because you don't want to offend the very heart of God by not living a godly lifestyle. Then that makes you a hypocrite, especially if you're trying to be in the kingdom.
Okay, amen. So you say you stay in the presence of God. That's how you stay physically and mentally. That maintains your physical and mental health. Okay, so what advice would you like to give the audience on today?
Well, I also want to say that being in the presence of God, He's a teacher.
Yes.
And so when He showed me who I am and who I mean, how, the person that I am to Him, it made me realize I'm important. I am somebody. I am valuable. And so guess what? I will not allow you. I control who's around me.
Yeah.
I control what you say to me. I control what I eat. I have the power to choose life or death with the power of my tongue and the choices that I make. So that helps me with my mental health because I don't have to fight through a battle that wasn't even designed for me to fight if I don't entertain it. Sometimes we entertain things that we are fighting off that were never intended to be our fight. Praise God. So if I keep myself out of harm's way, if I keep myself out of temptations and just, start loving on myself, and that's what I do, I start thinking and meditating on the things that I like. The things that make me happy, the things that would make me smile. And then I also turn around and bless someone else.
Yes, love it. Yes, you're blessing other people. Yes. So
and that gives me peace.
Yeah. And that's the same thing with music, right? You're blessing other people with your music. When I was interviewing someone last week, they were saying like the healing for them came with their songwriting, but it also came with them sharing their story. And so that's another gift that you're giving to others as well. Yes. So the gift of your music and your gifts. Yes, absolutely. I love it. So we have a few more questions, Miss Charlotte. So any shout outs that you would like to give and tell us what's coming up next so we can check you out and see what you're doing next?
I'm glad you asked that question because I felt in my spirit today that I just wanted to tell everybody, I don't want to leave nobody out. Anybody who encouraged me, anybody who always loved on me and recognized my gift, helped me nourish my gift. I want to send a shout out to Apostle Nolan, who trained me in the ministry. I could never, ever say that he did not influence my life because that's where I grew. Remnant Worship Center is my prayer family. Also, I like to send a shout out to my pastor now, who is Henry Price.
Okay.
He loves on me. He values me.
Yeah.
He treats me like nothing ever happened in my life.
Yes. Now, where's your church? Incredible. Where's your church at? Tell us where.
Yes, it's called First Missionary Baptist Church in Houston, Texas.
Okay. All right.
Under the direction of Henry Price. Bradford Howard Jr., I can never stop thanking him. Milton Wallace, Kim Agoro, Kyle Collins, the whole, and everyone who has heard my music that loved it, Melville Williams, all of the new people who are helping out in Deion Soldier Ballad, Marvin Mack, my God. Oh my goodness.
You got a list, girl. You got a list. I love it.
Hold on. Dr. Weathersby, the Irvins, Natalie Pease and the GSWC family. And Dr. Teresa Jordan, she played my song, You're the One for Me Forever, and she still helps me. Thank you, Lord, for everyone. Yeah, and all of the listeners and everybody, and you, Roshawn. I watched you for a long time before I met you. Remember, I was excited when I met you because I've been following you for a minute.
Yes, so sweet. Yes, yeah, we met in person last year at the Gospel Choice Music Awards, June. Yep.
Let me tell you something. It takes a lot of courage to tell your story.
Oh, it does.
Still be proud of it. So that was
Absolutely.
one of the things that I loved about you. Outside of the fact that you're beautiful,
Oh,
you
thank
have
you.
the
You as well.
courage.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you.
Yep. Yes, it does. It does, Charlotte. It takes a lot of courage, vulnerability. I mean, it is not easy sharing your story. It's not. I mean, are you kidding me? When I was in treatment, writing my music, like I said, I didn't know that was music because I'm just writing how I feel. And then when I left out, out of treatment, I was like, in my spirit, it was like, these are songs. And I was like, no, they're not. No, they're not. I am not sharing my music. Oh no, people don't need to know that I was struggling and silent, and so it takes courage. And so those who are listening, are watching on today, if you are struggling in silence, we want to encourage you to go and get help. The first step. If you can do that, boy, I'm telling you, you got it. If you can say, I need the help, that is the first step. So yes. So thank you, Charlotte, for sharing your amazing story on today. So tell the audience, where can we find out more about you? Where can we find your music?
And I'm on all social media platforms. I also want to send out a shout out to all of my producers that helped me to put my vision together. Without them, I couldn't have gotten over what I wanted to tell God's people. Beethoven Garrett, Charles Walker, Ivan Johnson Sr. I also want to thank Calvin Cooper for my new project that is coming out. Odom Dahl, that lives in Gabon. I just thank The Voice TV Africa, all of the overseas people that listen and support my music. I love all of you. Thank you, because without you, there was no me. And we need you. We need you to keep fighting, to keep on. I want to send a shout out to all of my sisters at the ETGMP, like Eloise and Alexia Curry and Jackie Henry. Everybody, I love all of you. Nene, Vaughn, I don't want to leave anybody out. The Fleet DJs, I just started with them. And the Johnsons. I love all of you. Yeah, the guy gave me a big old network, y'all. You know what?
She loves you. Charlotte loves you, everyone.
Right.
All right, Charlotte.
These are my support team. And
yes, I love, yes, absolutely. I get it. Yes. Your support team for sure. They're they're your supporters and your encouragers, your cheerleaders. So yes, we need you in our lives. All right, Ms. Charlotte. So 30 seconds. You have 30 seconds to tell the audience about your book, because I want to hear about it. So I'm going to give you 30 seconds because we're running out of time now. So 30 seconds.
Well, this is a story that I've been holding since I was 15 years old, and I was going to make it into a movie, but it didn't happen. So this was the time that God wanted me to share it all. My life story.
Wow.
And it goes more into details in getting to know that family behind the scenes that I was talking about.
Okay. Yep.
And the trials that I've overcome and how God brought me through is really inspiring to anyone who, and I just want to say, I know we're almost out of time. God gave me a song called Don't Die in Silence. Tell somebody. If you're going through something and it's too hard for you to even say, you're ashamed, you're crushed, you're bruised, you're broken, just tell someone that you know you can trust. Because Jesus will help them to get you through whatever it is.
Yeah.
There's places that you're so low you don't want to tell nobody. I get it. I've been there. And you don't know how you're going to come up out of it. I promise you. Hold on. Give it to the Lord. And He will bless you, because He has blessed me. So I have grown. He put the pieces back together again. I thank you, Jesus. So I just wanted to encourage somebody and let you know it's okay. But don't stay. Don't think you have to stay.
Absolutely. Yes. It's okay to not be okay, but we don't want you to stay there, because there is hope and healing on the other side. If He could do it for me, if He could do it for Charlotte, He can do it for you. Yes. Yes. Well, Charlotte, I am so grateful for you to come on today. We're going to just lighten the mood for the next 1 minute. We're going to play this little game real quick called Would You Rather? Okay. We want to know a little bit about Charlotte. So I'm going to give you 2 choices and you're going to pick one and tell us why you picked that choice. Okay. So a little fun. We're going to lighten the mood just a little bit before we close out. All right. Would you rather go visit the beach or the mountains? Which one?
The beach. I'm a beach girl for sure.
Beach girl. Okay. Beach girl. So you like the water. Okay. Okay. All right. Tea or coffee?
Tea.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. I'm a coffee girl, so okay. See,
I used to be coffee, but till I find when I turn you on to this thing, you're gonna be like,
oh, okay. You're gonna have to send it my way. Okay. Or savory. Are you like sweet or you like more of a salty?
Both. I have to choose.
Well, I mean, you like both? Do you favor one over the other?
Yes. I don't like too much sugar, so I'm gonna say savory.
Okay, more savory, salty. Okay. And the last one: are you a night owl or an early bird?
I'm definitely not an early bird, so I guess it would be night owl.
Night owl. Same with me, night owl. In the morning, I'm like, no, let me sleep a little bit more. All right, Miss Charlotte Williams. Well, thank you so much for coming on today. I appreciate you, your time, your story, your vulnerability, your music, all the amazing things that you're doing for the community. So thank you so much. We appreciate you and just want to encourage you, keep doing, your music. And I'm excited to, read your story, your book too. So let us know about that as well. When it comes out, let me know. And I'm sure you'll be blasting on social media. So I would love to check it out.
Thank you so much for having me. This was awesome.
Yes. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. And we will see you next time, my friend.
Okay. Bye-bye.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. From Weeping to Warrior, Igniting Freedom with Roshawn Nicole. I hope Charlotte's story inspired you, encouraged you on today. And like I say every single time, if you are suffering in silence, please go and talk to someone, go and get help, because there is hope and healing at the end of the tunnel. So thank you so much for watching on today. If you are watching on my YouTube channel, please like, subscribe, comment, thumbs up, the bell, do all the things, please, so you can stay notified of a new episode. Would love for you to be a part of this journey with me. Also, one more time, if you want to be a guest, we would love to have you on. Please hit up your girl at info@RoshawnNicoleWellness.com. Would love for you to share your story. Now you can watch this episode and future episodes. There's 3 ways. The first way is on Fridays at 6:00 p.m. on Oklahoma Victorious Worship Radio. The second way is on Mondays at 6:00 p.m. PST at PGN TV. And the third way is on my YouTube channel, which is at Roshawn Nicole. Thank you to our special guest on today. I appreciate you. Thank you to our producer of this show, which is Dr. Teresa Jordan, CEO of Praise Fest Gospel Network. And thank you for listening or watching. We will see you next time. Just want to encourage you on today. Stay lit, keep shining, and ignite freedom. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for tuning in to From Weeping to Warrior, Igniting Freedom with Roshawn Nicole. To be a guest on the show, please contact us at info@RoshawnNicoleWellness.com. We would love to connect with you, so please take a moment to like, subscribe, and follow us on all social media platforms. We look forward to having you join us next time for Weeping to Warrior, Igniting Freedom with Roshawn Nicole.